Welcome to the Hellas Chrome podcast and live stream. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer. Um, this week, hello. This week, we're going to recap the event from last week, which we discussed ahead of time with the new head coach of SDFC. Some exciting things maybe in the works with the club coming up. I don't know if we have any details on that yet. I don't think so, but we can tease and speculate to our heart's desire. And we're going to talk a little bit about this player in MLS that takes up a lot of oxygen in the room. You may have heard of him. But to get into that discussion, let's bring on our co-host, producer, and the president of the STFC Union, John Cross. John, I don't know what happened when I was trying to talk, but it didn't work so well. Had a very embarrassing moment there, but I think we're going to move past it and power through. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
You know what? I wasn't going to get into this, but I'm not doing very well, actually. For about the last month, I have been in a cycle of like distractedly like chewing food and biting the shit out of my lip. It swells, it starts to heal, and then I do it again.
Do it again. Yeah.
And this has been going on, I want to say I've been biting it about every 2 days on average, if not every day. For I think it's been about a month at this point. And I'm really sick of it. I'm really tired of it. It keeps happening. It's incredibly painful. I don't know why all of the sudden I cannot chew food without injuring myself. But I'm approaching my mid 40s right now, and I've never had a run like this in my life of just constantly. And I'm not talking like a little bite, a little. I'm like full on, like chomping down with my incisors onto the inside of my lip, and it's become like this thing. It's become a thing now, right? Like it's not just like a thing I can ignore. It's begun to like occupy space in my conscious waking brain every day where I am just thinking about what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Do I need to go to a dentist? Do I need to have my jaw like broken and like adjusted in such a way that I no longer have like the type of overbite that you know leads to this sort of thing? I'm really considering some drastic measures. I think they can even laser off layers of skin, like in your mouth, to like thin things up. I don't know if they can make people's lips fatter by shooting them full of like collagen and crap. Like, there's got to be a way to like make it like smaller. Yeah. Because I mean, it's at the point where I'm really, it's affecting my mental health. It's affecting my physical health. I'm afraid to eat, which isn't good. So yeah, I don't know if anybody in our audience is a I don't know, some sort of otolaryngologist or a, a, a oral surgeon, perhaps. I know we have a lot of highly educated surgeons in our small little group here, but I am at my wit's end as far as like, and when I Google, okay, and I am Googling this stuff, right? But when I Google it, I find a bunch of stuff about like people who have like a nervous habit of like, just kind of like biting their lip or kind of chewing on it. Like, that's not what I'm talking about here. And I cannot find like the WebMD post to address this particular issue. But yeah, I just really wanted to get that out there and get it off my chest. And maybe somebody in the audience has you know has the
Some
solution for me
some
because
crack medical advice for
oh
you.
my gosh, I mean it's killing me. Yesterday, right? I'm working at home yesterday. I bought these frozen Indian dishes from Trader Joe's, right? There's like they have different ones. There's like, uh, chicken tikka masala. I had my favorite one, which is the lamb vindaloo, which is like a spicy curry with little chunks of lamb meat in it. It's incredible. I had the frozen naan bread also from Trader Joe's, which is good. I had my naan bread. I had my I had my lamb vindaloo ready to go, and I'm turning in my kitchen with the naan bread in my hand, covered with a paper towel, and the frozen thing, which is now cooked and hot, like sitting on top of it. And I'm turning, and I don't know what happened, but like it started to slide, and like it was slow motion. I was like, oh no, and like it all just freaking fell. I tried to catch it by pitting it against the wall in my body, which you can imagine did not work. I just ended up with like piping hot vindaloo like down my side, which it looks when at this point when you spill it, it looks like vomit. Like what it looks like once it's all over your floor. And I'm there. I'm mad. My kid, who is like 16 and he's home on fall break right now, is dying laughing at me. Uh, we're cleaning it. I'm kind of cleaning it, and I'm like eating the non because I didn't drop the non bread. I'm like eating the non bread, as I'm cleaning. This is a terrible lunch. Terrible. I'm having a terrible day now. And as I'm eating the non bread, I take the biggest fucking bite and chunk out of my lip. I bite it so hard. I started like tearing up. It was so painful. And like coming on the heels of the Vindaloo thing, like I just I like I wanted to just give up on life
I was gonna
at
say,
that
did you
moment.
lose it?
What can you do? Like it was so just a compounding of like terrible things that really don't matter, but like they really matter. It really does matter, but it doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, just awful. I'm trying to get over it. I'm trying to go on this self-improvement journey of learning how to eat without injuring myself. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's where I've been. It hasn't been fun. How have you been?
Well, I don't have nearly the interesting stories that you have. I've been the same as I've always been. It's like
Thank you for
100,
thinking that was
100% of
interesting.
my time. Yeah, but mine's like a broken record. I'm doing the same stuff all the time. Had a meeting before this podcast. It's like my whole life is meetings right now. Um, in a good way, but yeah, it's just, it's a little bit of the slog right now of getting the final pieces together for where we are in the business side. So as we talked about last week, to pivot towards the more of the fun stuff that everybody wants to do, but there's still some key things to get going, and yeah, it's just taking time. That's all. So it was. Thank you for the entertaining story, because yeah, mine's all, as we talked about, riveting podcast stuff of bylaws and codes of conduct, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's my
mean,
life.
if it's, I hope it is entertaining because it's not fun to go through. But I mean, I can definitely see the humor in like if it wasn't me, if this was happening to somebody else, I would be really really amused at
I
that person.
I have I have had that happen, not to the extent that you described, but maybe for a week total, but where you just seem to just get it over and over and over again, and sometimes bite down hard enough that I've bitten down like all the way through. Like there's a gap in there, and I do it on my cheeks. I never
Mm.
do it on the lip, but mine's always on the cheek.
Yeah, it's not fun. Um, I do want to. Before we get into union and SDFC stuff, did you get that thing ready to pull up? Is that good to go?
That is good to go. Yes. You want to lead with that?
Yeah, let's talk about it because I think it's interesting and I have some thoughts on it.
All right. We'll go
So,
ahead and add the
if you
picture
are not
here.
watching the stream, I guess Inter Miami went and played New York City FC. Uh, bringing Lionel Messi. They sold out Yankee Stadium because Messi, and the supporters had a tifo. It's like a pink tifo. It's like got the Barbie font. It says "Don't be
Right.
plastic," and then it's got like a Barbie box with a Messi figure in there and a Barbie in a Messi jersey, and it says 100% plastic. Messi sold separately. And at the bottom, it says support your local club. Now, this was a message for all of the fans that I'm assuming showed up to fill Yankee Stadium to see Lionel Messi and who do not show up at other NYCFC matches. Uh, John, what do you think? Is this your first time seeing it? Had you seen this before today? What are your thoughts?
I had not seen it before you shared it with me today before the show. Because, like I said, I'm busy with other stuff right now. I don't get to enjoy the soccer the way I normally do. So hopefully that will change soon. But yeah, I think you did a very good description. You did leave out one key piece on there in the upper right hand corner in what would normally be the Mattel logo. It says Garber up there. And I
Oh,
think,
I couldn't tell what it said. That's why I
yeah,
skipped it.
I think I don't know who thought of this idea, but I think it is, I think it's spot on. I really enjoy it. I'm a bit surprised. I almost feel like this could be something that maybe with many teams in MLS, the front office, because these tifos have to be approved before they go up. So I wouldn't be surprised if for a lot of teams if this idea was presented, it would have gotten nixed. Um, but I think this is fantastic. Whoever put this together, this is it. It's well done all the way around, and along with the message, and I think it is unfortunately something we're seeing in the U.S. and MLS with this. I don't know, Messi mania kind of for some events where if he goes and plays, especially in a venue where he hasn't played before, so people haven't had a chance to see him, or at least maybe this year haven't had a chance to see him play. Um, I think you do. I did see a clip though from Yankee Stadium where someone showed just a pan, a little video pan of the stadium, and there did appear to be quite a few pink jerseys scattered all around the stadium, and quite a full stadium for the match. But as a supporter, very happy to see a supporter group put something like this out.
Yeah, I so I didn't know about this. I don't follow MLS, but I did see. I am in the what is the name of the? There's a Facebook group for SDFC MLS. Somebody shared this in there. Um, Friend of the pod, Glenn. Uh, he's been around the locals for a long time.
Right.
Um, and I thought the comments were really interesting, and I kind of wanted to, I didn't comment. I have a policy, when it comes to like social media content that I might be, you don't tap the glass, right? You don't touch the poop. Like you don't interfere with the natural flow of things, right? You don't want to inject yourself into something. Um, but uh, so the comments were not as pro this message as I might expect. The first comment is like, I'd like to see Messi play here once. Hopefully we get it scheduled. Um, People are like, it's hit or miss. And then some of the other comments are like, one person says, probably the same gatekeepers that make fun of new people who found the sport through opportunities like this and chase them away. These opportunities is part of how we bring people into the fold. Another person says, plastic or fakes, not the right wording. It's messy. Perhaps the best to ever lace him up, and they're taking the opportunities to see him while they can. Another person, I don't abide the degradation of any fan who buys a ticket to see a team or specific player for whatever reason. Just one more example of how negative and divisive we've become as a species. Humans need to do better. Oh, please. Another person brings up, I remember something similar when MLS announced they were coming to San Diego. That rings true. And then another person says, I'm all about supporting local, but I'm not sure how that gets in the way of growing the sport in our country. So, little, I think, some subject verb confusion there. I think they're saying that I don't think this helps grow the sport, is what maybe what they mean. A little contradictory language there. But so and it's these comments that made me want to address it on the show, because this is something that we've talked about before and I've said before, but I think it's worth bringing up, is like, I don't understand why in only this sport, only in soccer, do fans feel like they are for some reason obligated to be the ambassadors of fandom or of the sport, as if it is on, the fan community to bring people into the fold, to like grow the game in this country. Like, that is not like the fan's job to do that. The fan is there to support their club, to enjoy the game. But like, as far as like growing market share or getting more butts and seats, like, there are people who are paid to do that. Don Garber is paid to do that. They backed up the money truck, Garber, MLS, and Apple, backed up the Brinks truck to Messi's driveway for this very purpose, to get butts and seats. So like, this idea that, this attitude is somehow off-putting and, bad for fans, or it reflects poorly on fans, I think really misses the mark. The message itself, I mean, it's apt, right? We've seen this since last year when FC Dallas, you know, did not allow, or made it. They didn't like keep their supporter section together for, like, I think it was a Leagues Cups match that was coming through. They did not, they sold the supporter section seats as, regular ticketed seats, instead of, allowing it to be a supporter section, so that they could maximize, butts and seats for when Messi came. And it's gross. If you are a fan of this game and you support these teams, you know, it should bother you that this game and this league allows itself to be just a spectacle for one player, just a road show. The Harlem Globetrotters coming to town to play your Washington Generals, in this case NYCFC, right? Like, the Globetrotters is fake. That is not a competitive league. The Washington Generals is not like a team that is, you know, playing the Globetrotters for some title at the end of the season. It is an entertainment product. It is the circus. Like, and I feel like the way MLS uses Lionel Messi and Inter Miami as a whole is very close to that circus, sideshow type of thing. And so it's completely reasonable and understandable. And these fans are absolutely correct that, these people, I assume they're New Yorkers. They're in New York. They have a club there. And, they're probably a little frustrated that they can sell out Yankee Stadium only because people want to come and see one player from a team from another club. So yeah, I disagree with any you know any criticism of the tifo. It's a perfect tifo. It's a perfect message for when Messi comes to your town. And yeah, if this is you, if you are one of these people that won't go to a single match, but you're planning on going to the Messi game, um, this is you. I'm sorry. The truth hurts. If you never went and to see San Diego Loyal, but you're planning on being a diehard SDFC supporter, this is you too. Like, I'm sorry, but this is you too. So there are kind of comparisons there, and that's just that's the way it is. And if you want to think that's off-putting or gatekeeping, which gatekeeping is one of those words that you really wish did not escape, like, niche, almost pseudo academic circles, right? Like, because once it becomes mainstream, all of a sudden everything is gatekeeping and it loses its meaning. Um, but I, I think it's very hard to gatekeep the most popular sport in the world. I'm gonna. If you have other points there, John, I know I've been kind of going on for a minute on this. I'd like to hear your thoughts on any of that.
Well, let's start with the gatekeeping one. I think, kind of like you said, gatekeeping is a word that I think is tossed around awfully loosely. It's certainly, one person's gatekeeping is another person's preservation of something or of standards, So I get everybody's comments. Everything you read, like, I get where people are coming from. I get why some people might want to go and just see Messi and never show up for another game. And it could be for a variety of reasons, right? It may not be that or it might be that they're not a huge soccer fan. It might be they're a huge soccer fan, but they don't want to give the time to MLS, but they're willing to see one of the best players live, and maybe they've never had the opportunity. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan or how they should support. I think we need the full range. My comments and why I like this is because I take that from a strong supporter perspective. And I do think a lot of supporters around the league, especially MLS, find it frustrating. The attention, especially in the last year and a half, I guess it's been, that Messi's been involved in the league. And it just, the, like, you'll hear Don Garber sometimes say, like asking everybody else, please, like, we're more than Messi, we're bigger than Messi. But yeah, you look at the MLS marketing and everything else, it's all about trying to capitalize on this moment. And I think a lot of supporters would say capitalize in the wrong way. Like, yeah, you're making money for owners, and in certain games there's a lot of sellouts, but you're not creating that strong community culture that's really going to drive a solid fan base for years and years. So for me, when I think of it from that perspective, this is where I like this. I like the satire and the commentary that is, there's so much woven into this. I really, whoever crafted this and came up with the idea, I think is genius. And I think it speaks to a lot of concerns that supporters have about things that happen in MLS. And just because someone is, I mean, both these things can be true. You can be a diehard supporter of your team and you can be critical of the league and the way it operates and runs, right? It doesn't mean because you buy a ticket or because you're there that you are guaranteed or that you automatically have to defend everything that MLS does. I think it's good that people critique and question and challenge. It's the only way the league will get better. And I think there's a lot of people. I would be one of these people in the camp where I would say the board of governors in the league at times have made some serious missteps in their chances to really connect with their communities because they were chasing the dollar. right? And I think that builds short-term success and not long-term success. And I think anybody who loves their team and wants to see their team compete and be competitive, doesn't matter what league it's in, they want that strong connection. They want that strong community support. That team is, I'll use a term that STFC uses, but kind of woven into the fabric of that community. Not just there to pull in money when, kind of as you said, the Harlem Globetrotters come to town, because it's a dog and pony show that's interesting to see. Um, and frankly, not anymore at this moment. I don't think anybody could argue that he is the best player in the world right now, but for so long has been, one of the best, if not the best players. And probably for a lot of people, the chance to see him in person and say you got to see him play in person is probably still a big draw.
Hmm.
I just get frustrated that I get that part. We those people should be able to go see a match and do that as well. My frustration is with the league seeming to make it only about that and losing sight of this great opportunity to really strengthen rivalries, to strengthen the community support that goes on, to really put in those structures that are going to last long term. And instead, it just seems like whether they want it to be or not, or no matter what they say against it, it's just all about Messi, as some people say, the messy league soccer, right? That's
Hmm.
a lot of people throw that out. It's I think for nearly everyone outside of Miami, that part is frustrating.
You said something I hadn't thought of, and I think it says something that there in like New York, right? There are a lot of soccer fans in New York. Probably millions of soccer fans in New York. Um, Most of them probably are not MLS fans, right? Like, here's a problem, an issue that you have, right? Maybe a lot of those people showing up in pink Messi jerseys. I don't think they made the drive from Miami. I think they are probably New York people. And the fact that you know that's how many show up, right? That's how many come out. It tells you all of the people that you are not getting into watch your league
Right.
because they're not fans of your league.
Yes.
How many people in San Diego, you know, became fans of like Man U or Liverpool or what's there's a lot of the other Liverpool team. There's a lot of those supporters here for some reason. The blue ones. Um, I'm blanking on it right now, but
Oh, you are blanking. I really thought you were kind of
no,
making
I'm
a joke
blanking
there.
on
Everton.
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 Yeah. Everton, right? Like there are people who support those clubs here that have no actual connection to those communities, but are probably more diehard supporters of those clubs than they'll ever be of SDFC. And that's weird, right? That's weird. And I think that's something that is, maybe, indicative of a bigger cultural issue with the league, right? With MLS and the way MLS has marketed itself and the way it's tried to kind of I think like you said, that short term, constantly chasing that short term high instead of investing in something that will mean something to people over generations, right? So uh that I think is a big part of why you get so many people coming out for Messi these matches. Is these are people who do not care about MLS at all, but they're big soccer fans. And
Yeah.
the, and that's a problem, right? Like how many people in the United States are big football fans but don't watch the NFL? you know, Probably not a lot. If you're a football fan, you probably watch pro football. You probably watch the NFL. So for soccer to have this many fans of the game who do not engage with the pro league in this country, the domestic league, I think I mean I don't know how you solve that problem. I don't think the track that this league is on and its track record show any interest in acknowledging or solving it. So I think that's a real interesting aspect of this whole thing.
Yeah, I think what you said there is like they're clearly lots of soccer fans in this country. I mean, it's evidenced by so many things that happen outside of Major League Soccer. And you're right, people find connections to teams in other countries, in other leagues, and not necessarily because they have the personal connection, like you mentioned, but there are rich stories. And yes, there's lots of history, but it's more than just the history. There's deep connections to the communities they represent. And then people, even though they may not live in those communities, they identify that with them. I
Mhm.
mean, look at what's going on with Wrexham and the whole story and that TV show. Yes, you've got Hollywood owners, and yes, you have all these other things, and yes, they put money into it. But ultimately, none of that matters because you have Hollywood owners that own other teams that don't have the same connections. But people, because of the documentary, mostly probably,
This is
is
a more
people then,
reality show than a documentary, maybe. I don't know if it's
well, but people identify with those community connections. And then
Mhm.
now all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of Wrexham supporters in the US that could be supporting their local team. And I don't mean just their local MLS team, their local team, whatever their local team. And this is a bigger conversation about US soccer and their lack of structure. And I mean, we could do a whole episode on that. But, MLS is missing out on a huge chunk of fans. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure the leadership of MLS care that they are. I think they are, and I think that's the frustration that a lot of fans have. And then I've had people question me, then why do you support it? I'm not a fan of Major League Soccer. I'm not a fan of the way it runs, but I am a fan of soccer and of San Diego. And I want to try to make this the best
Mhm.
experience from a supporter standpoint that I can, and deep rooted connections to our community so it persists for a long time. And yes, actually, at times when necessary, put pressure on the club to hold them accountable to stay connected to the community. But MLS has different goals. Their owners have different goals. The MLS is structured to protect the owners. They're not about the community and creating those stories and those connections within the community. And I really think, I'm just shouting to the void here. I know no owners, nobody's going to listen to this or anything. And if they do, they'll probably just scoff. But like, yes,
Donnie
the
Garber,
valuation
he
is,
DM'd me. He said he doesn't miss an
yeah,
episode.
I, you know, your valuations could get like the valuations are totally inflated because of, the closed league system. But there's so much opportunity in this country that it could be that if they would stop with the closed league system, like everybody could benefit. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Highly unlikely, but I think they're missing a golden opportunity. Just even the connections to the local community and giving more independence to the individual clubs. I just think they have a group of owners that don't care about that. They've
Yeah.
got their cushy toy and entertainment system, and I think it's on us as supporters and other people who work in the league that want to see changes is to try to leverage and affect change. It's not going to be easy, but I think that, and it's not just MLS, it's with US soccer and everything else. And again, I'm gonna stop now because I want to go into a tangent again that we could spend a whole episode on. So I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, I would refer anybody to our entire back catalog if you want more on this issue. But like speaking of like the community and building the community, STFC has been for the last, 6 months, engaged in this kind of community tour to try
Right.
and build some sort of that community connection. The latest example, I think, well, I don't know if it's the latest, but the one I want to talk about is the event last Wednesday at Courtyard where the new coach came and sat with Darren Smith, friend of the pod, and discussed. Well, I don't know. I didn't go, so let me ask you how was the event and what did you think about it?
Well, a couple of things. I'm gonna have to shamefully admit something here in just a second, but I love the event. The event was great. There was big supporter rally. There was lots of passion. And again, it's one of those things, like I think I told you last pod, I was at the drum circle and it was like, oh yeah, I miss this. I really enjoy this. And again, this was another event where I think for the people who were there, we're like, yeah, this is kind of getting back to the things we used to do. And looking forward to be able to do that with lots of friends again. You can start to feel the sense of everything building. So for that part was fantastic. It was an event with sporting director Tyler Heaps and our new coach as well. So, um, and like you said, Darren Smith was hosting. That was something that we asked for, is to get someone like Darren Smith to help moderate. And thankfully, he accepted and kind of came and ran the show. And I'll have to say, I don't know how long they went for, but I don't think I heard much of anything they were doing, because in my role of president, I had to go around and take that opportunity when I got a chance to try to connect and talk with a whole bunch of people for some things that are coming up and things that we need to do. So I actually was working the room, so to speak, and really didn't get to hear any of it. So I'm sorry I cannot report on that at all, but that's my thing I had to admit. Um, but that's, I guess, one of the things of being president is sometimes you have other pressing things that you need to do. You don't always get to enjoy the events.
Sure, sure.
But it was a lot of, I mean, people had a lot of fun, and like we're just starting to get in the swing of doing all that fun stuff again, building up to the season.
So, we are on a limited schedule now with my new schedule. So, I want to make sure we get to everything we have to get to before I gotta leave. What what's the latest? What's the update as far as the union goes? Events. What can you share about the what's new?
Yeah, unfortunately for this episode, not a whole lot to share, other than I can share there's a whole bunch of things kind of in the works that hopefully by the end of this week will solidify, and then we'll have some super concrete information for you. I'm hoping next podcast. We have a big meeting with the club tomorrow with the executive board and the presidents of each of the supporter group councils, of the supporter groups. So we have a meeting to discuss some things and hear some news that the club wants to share. That we don't know what that is. So we'll wait and see what that is, and then talk about some strategies and plans for recruitment. So yeah, I really hope, expect, I guess I would say, October will be filled with, I won't see necessarily a lot of events, but there's probably going to be a couple big key events. And hopefully we can give, like I said, full details on that on the next podcast, and try to get as many people out as possible and get people to sign up and join the union, for those people who want to help build this culture in this community that we're trying to put together in that north end there in Snapdragon Stadium.
So, between now and next show, which is next Tuesday, what is there anything coming up this week or this weekend that people should know about?
Yeah, there's actually, for those who might be interested, there's a happy hour that's going to happen over at the Press Box in El Cajon, kind of in the Rancho San Diego area, and that's hosted by Riptides, and that's going to be kind of a combination hangout happy hour and a little bit of a drum circle as well. So if anybody wants to head out there and find out what it's about, if you're brand new, come on out and join us. We'll be signing people up who are new and come out, and also for the people who want to come out and just have some fun. We'll be out there this Friday. That's really it for right now, between this pod and the next pod. That's the only big thing I can think of. But like I said, there should be a couple big things coming up in October.
So let's talk about merch. I'm going to ask you about merch
Yeah,
every
you're gonna
show
ask me
and
every episode, right?
every episode. I feel like I am the voice of the people. I am here. I am representing the common man. The dues. Well, I'm not a. I apologize. I am not a dues paying member
Yeah, I
yet,
was gonna say, did you do something you haven't told me?
but you know, I'm waiting on the merch. Well, where's the merch? I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of people are not going to sign on the dotted line until there's that you know uh, inauguration. Founders T-shirt challenge coin, whatever it may be.
sure. Um, we are, like I said, there are a couple legal things. So here's maybe some breaking news because this hasn't been shared with anybody in the union yet, even. But we just, I was able to get the seller's permit procured, which is something we need to be able to sell merch. So that's the first step. We got just kind of one last, I would say, legal hurdle thing to set up, and as soon as we get that done, we are in a position where we could move forward. So we got to start talking designs and get some people involved, get our Travis Petersons of the world and artists from the other SGs to start submitting some ideas that we could put together and maybe get out there for some merch ideas, like you said, or coins or scarves or any of those options. But yeah, there were a couple, as you just the legal things we had to get in place to be able to legally do what we want to do. Um, we're just about there. So I don't know if we'll be ready for an actual merch item yet, but that is absolutely like on the table. But I'll say the same thing I said last week. If you're interested in helping out with merch, this is your thing. Contact me. We'll put you to work. Um, but we need to get those things going. And it's not just, as you know, you've been involved with supporter group stuff. People come up with all kinds of fantastic ideas, but they never come to fruition unless someone is willing to actually do the legwork to make it
I've got a
happen. So
lot of thoughts about the work other people could be doing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's
so
that
we
a lot of ideas, people, not a lot of
yeah,
ideas
we have a
doers.
lot of and frankly excellent ideas. We have a lot of good ideas floating around. We'd like to put into action, but they're probably a little further down the road, and we need to get some other things in place. But you also need like everybody like that's a great idea. Okay, who's going to do it? You know, nobody. Everybody puts their head down, and no one steps up. So yeah, we really, if you're one of those people who gets things done and you're willing to step up and help out, please do, because right now the
Listen,
people who
people,
are kind of directed in some other areas right
we
now that we
have
just have
we
to
have enough ideas.
finish.
Enough
We have
ideas. We're
plenty of
good.
ideas.
We're
Yeah.
good on the ideas side. If you know how to actually do things, you know how to actually execute a project from start to finish. That's who we're looking for. There's an ideas bin under the desk, under John's desk right now. Um,
Full.
I'm talking about the trash can.
That's full too.
All right, so still looking for volunteers, people looking to get involved. You can of
Sure.
course reach out to
Always.
John.
Yeah.
Um, the website. Can you remind everybody what the union's website is?
Yeah. It's group, the word group, GROUP .chant, .fan, FAN, /SDISU, the initials for San Diego Independent Supporters Union. I had to think about that for a second.
And
But yeah,
people can go there. They can join. They can get into the Discord, which I assume. How's the Discord community? Did you get that troll in there, or you got some good?
I haven't got the troll in there
Oh,
yet,
okay.
but we're waiting on you. You got to sign up.
Oh gosh, yeah, I could do it. By the way, I mean I could definitely fill that role if needed.
No, but we do have a lot of people helping out. And as you said, we have a lot of project kind of people and doers. We're just everybody's kind of tapped right now on other things that we need to help build the foundation. And I agree with you completely. I think having merch is a game changer. It'll really help visualize some of the things for people. Like, this is what you can do and this is what you can get. Um, we're just, unless we get some more people stepping up, that's just going to be delayed a little bit because we got to knock out a couple other things that just
I
have
think
to be done first.
one thing that folks should realize is that starting a supporter union from scratch in under 1 year is not ideal for a lot of people. Get some get 2 years of lead time. Some of them are just transitioning from one club to the other. But this union is being built from the ground up, and it's not easy, and there is a lot of work, as we talk about every week. Tax and legal stuff that has to get done before some of this other stuff can happen. So, yeah, patience and good things. Good things are coming.
Last comment I'll make, because we had a comment go in there in the chat from Paul. It says, for merch, please see your respective SG. And that is absolutely true. When I'm saying merch, I'm just specifically talking about union specific merch or things we might do through the union merch store. Most of the SGs have, stuff going on merch wise. So if you are part of an SG and maybe newly part of a particular SG, reach out to those leaders for different merch items that you can get. So I want to be clear. It's not like there's no merch out there. We're talking union specific kind of things in this
My argument
conversation.
is that were there merch as part of a membership package, if you got a
Right.
scarf or a T-shirt, that there would be a lot more people signing up for membership packages at this stage of the game. Which is why I think the limited edition, founders edition, is a good thing, because you could say, like, everybody who signs up before October 31st or November, or before Thanksgiving, right? You can put a deadline and say, everybody who
Right.
joins by this date, you're going to get, this, one-off pin, that we're never going to make this pin again, or we're never going to make this shirt again, whatever it is, coin, pin,
Right.
coaster, I don't, whatever the hell. um,
Koozie.
something. I think the pin for like a founders edition, some kind of nice enameled pin or something that
Right.
people can put on their vests and their hats and stuff, might be a good founders pin or something. I think that'll really get, and you give them that deadline, right? I think that'll get people signing up. But
Right.
once again, that is an idea, something there are plenty of. So the doers are, of course, welcome to do some of that. All right, John. I don't want to rush anything here. I want to make sure that we got everything that we needed to get to before we sign off for the week.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. And like I said, hopefully next week we'll have some concrete information about some big events coming up in October.
All right. Well, we'll be back next Tuesday, live streaming on YouTube at 7:45 p.m. And of course, you can catch the show on your favorite podcast RSS feed. I recommend Wednesday mornings listening, because sometimes we talk about next day events. So, yeah, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.